everyone, I'm Rebecca. I'm the Family Support Officer at Eating Disorders Victoria. I've been involved with Eating Disorders Victoria for 2 years in this particular role, but my involvement has dated back about five or so years before that in a volunteer capacity in facilitating support groups. So I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about EDV's involvement with the Building Hope workshops. As Ross and Martin have mentioned, there's certainly an identified gap in carers being involved in the support of their loved one from recovering from an eating disorder, and we certainly have seen many carers and consistently requesting more knowledge, more skills, that sort of thing, particularly in the support groups that tend to be a little bit more unstructured in focus. We often heard people wanting a bit more information, a bit more structure. So we partnered with Deakin University and not myself, but my former colleagues, Naomi Crafty and Helen Franks, worked closely with Ross and Genevieve in setting up the Building Hope program, and received some training through when Jill Todd came out and did some workshops. So EDV received some funding from the Lord Mayor's Charitable Foundation, and so the Building Hope project was part of our care project, which involved a range of other things such as giving the community a voice forums as well as family support. So we delivered the Building Hope program in two kind of formats. Mostly we delivered the 6 sessions plus a follow-up after about 6 weeks following the end of the program. And we also had a condensed version which we named Finding Hope. And that was just 1 to 2 days, and we did that sort of for practical purposes because in regional areas primarily. So we conducted about 5 to 6 workshop series per year from 2009 to 2012, and here are some of the suburbs in Melbourne in the metropolitan region that we've run the workshops. So initially we ran them sort of independently from services, hospital settings and so on. However, as time's gone on, we've really recognised the need to integrate with services, and so we've been fortunate to do some work with Royal Melbourne Hospital and Betters, and of course Ross has been working with Barwon Health, and just more recently we've linked up with Headspace. And here's some of the regional locations where we've conducted the groups. I guess, sorry, just going back to that, one of the advantages of the 6-week version is that it gives parents an opportunity to practice their skills in between sessions and come back and ask for help, whereas the 1 to 2 day version is more of an introduction. So we opened the group, it was quite an open group, so we didn't have too strict a criteria for who we involved. So that included parents, also partners. At one point we did run a partners only group because we were finding that you know, there are a lot of partners out there who are needing support. We've also opened it up to siblings as well. So we've had some older siblings, usually in their 20s or something, who have been particularly keen to get support. And sometimes other relatives and friends or support people have been involved as well. So some of the challenges, I guess, very much managing the diversity. So it's been very difficult to, you know, often there's been a lot of different eating disorder diagnoses and different severity levels of the person that they're supporting. And so that can present a bit of a challenge. Having said that, it's great in the way Janet Treasure's work has been able to find what's common between the different diagnoses. Also managing the diversity within the various stages that their loved one might be at. We might have some people in the group where they're not even linked, their loved one's not linked in with the service. They're very much in pre-contemplation stage and not even really talking much to their carers about the eating disorder, and sometimes not much about anything at all. So, and then we've got some people who are caring for someone who is in hospital or just come out of hospital, or perhaps involved in quite a chronic presentation and has relapsed several times. The challenge which has particularly stood out has been, I guess, the diversity in age and developmental stage of the person that they're caring for. And I guess we've sort of seen, some differences between those supporting younger ones who are perhaps living at home and under 18, and those ones who are perhaps older and might be living out of home and perhaps trying to get increasing independence. So it's sort of managing that sort of dialect. The other, and just different types of carers as well. So, I mean, with all of these aspects and these diversities, there's lots of positive things that come out of it. I mean, the perspective, the various perspectives that these people offer can be a real positive in the group, and participants can really get a lot out of hearing different perspectives and recognising that, okay, that's similar to my daughter, or so really seeing the things that are in common. And just these are just sort of reflections and observations from my experience facilitating. It tends to give people, carers, a place and a role. Often they do feel quite disconnected from services, and so this provides them with something to focus on, and something positive that they can do to contribute to their loved one's recovery. Really makes use of their strengths, rather than, there's lots of blame and self-criticism that carers feel, but we really focus on what resources they can offer, their internal resources, and the insight and the relationship and the love that they have with that person, and utilising those things. It's also been good in being able to link families in with some of the EDV support services, so linking them in with family support sessions or the support groups, helpline, library and so on. And I mean, I think one of the benefits that I've seen is the mutual support, and that's something that we often hear is beneficial in support groups, but we've seen that the mutual support is also gained as well in this kind of environment. Even though it's mostly psychoeducation and skills-based, that there's still that opportunity to connect with others and feel normalised and support one another, sometimes out of the session. And sometimes they've even kept in contact with one another and continued that mutual support. The other benefit is it offers role modelling, so facilitators role modelling some of the skills around motivational interviewing and some of the communication strategies. And it very much tends to offer that sort of containment. So, when I'm sure you're all aware the distress that carers experience. So we feel, being able to support the carers, in turn, they can support their loved one, and that's the idea. So it tends to demystify the treatment process as well. So parents, because they feel a bit disconnected, they don't really know what's going on with their loved one in treatment. So this sort of gives them a little bit of information, sort of knowledge is power, tells them a little bit about, you know, behaviour change principles and what might go on in an inpatient program or so on. So that helps them. And just generally increasing their self-awareness, reduce carer distress and confidence in coping.
So
Yes?
you run these workshops regionally.
Sorry?
So would you consider going like places like Benson?
Yeah, sorry, I forgot to put one up there. We recently did one in Sale and we've done some in Traralgon before as well.
Where in Traralgon?
I wasn't involved in that one, I'm not sure. I think it was run out of the hospital.
The hospital.
Yeah.
So you run it all over Victoria as negotiated?
Yeah, we just, yeah. Depending on where the...
hospital one, because I worked at the hospital and I didn't have any information. Otherwise I would have attended it.
Okay.
So part of today...
I've said one of the reasons of eventually this collaboration coming together is trying to actually make sure that the information and availability is saying that EDV, through carers coming to them, are running groups, and Deakin have been running groups, and some of the specialist services started, but really want to try and work out a way that it can be more readily available for carers know and services know. So it's a good point you raised. It's part of today, working out ways we can bring it all together. Yeah.
Any question? Yes? Yeah.
Rebecca, I'm just wondering, you mentioned that as you went along, you started to become aware or think that it was important to link in with services. Is that, did I get that right?
Yeah, I guess...
Wondering what the thinking behind that was.
I guess, particularly if we were sort of doing one of the programs at one of the hospitals, parents who, a lot of people I guess are unaware of Eating Disorders Victoria, that sort of thing, and they don't know that these kind of other support services exist. So it's really just, I guess, awareness that these services exist, that they do have the right to receive care, and that, you know, that there is support out there. Yeah, so.
Just finally, Rebecca, just in terms of recruitment, what's been your experience of recruiting carers to these particular programs in the community?
Yeah, we've tended to have approximately, I think we had a group as small as 5 or 6, but up to about 20. So it's generally, we've generally had about, on average, 10 people in each of the groups. And they've generally just, I mean, I guess when we run the independent ones, we sort of marketed broadly through our marketing, but when we linked up with the hospitals, a lot of the participants came through the hospital.